Hey guys, I'm gonna read this article aloud to you because I know sometimes it helps to hear a person reading it. So you can either click out of this window and read along with your own article, or you can read the article with me on the screen, okay? If you want to highlight your article, I'm gonna show you how to do that very easily. So, I've given you all a Google document copy, so this is yours. You can do whatever you need to help you understand it. And if you want to copy something, what you do is you take your mouse and you highlight whatever you want to highlight. You go up to where you see this like marker thing, click it, and then I like to highlight yellow just because it's normal highlighter color. And then that highlights for you. If you want to take a highlight away, you pretty much just gotta copy it again, highlight, click that, and then you say none, and it goes away. Okay? If you want to type in any definitions or anything, you can annotate by clicking on something, and then there'll be a plus sign. You can click that plus and add a comment. Maybe you think that's important. You can use that for annotating maybe. So those are just some features that you should keep in mind as you're reading. So now I'm going to read the article. Please feel free to listen along, and you'll use this to complete your next tiered task assignment. Here we go. The title of this article is Taking It to the Streets: Grassroots Activism in the United States. Below there's a picture of a man with his arms up, and he's wearing a t-shirt that says Black Lives Matter. You might be familiar with this movement. It's a group that protests against violence towards black people, black and brown people, specifically cases where police officers have used force that have seriously hurt or killed young black men. The caption says, on September 20th, 2015, around 100 protesters blocked the light rail line in St. Paul, Minnesota, to protest the treatment of Marcus Abrams by St. Paul police. Abrams, who was 17 and had autism, was violently arrested by Metro Transit police on August 31st, 2015. During his arrest, he suffered a split lip and multiple seizures. The Black Lives Matter movement is an example of grassroots activism today. And then this is the photographer. Okay? Now I'm moving on to the main text of the article. So this is where if you want on your own document, you can highlight or annotate. Anyone can be an activist, young or old. All you need is a commitment to change. Grassroots activism begins when a group of citizens feels strongly about an issue. They join together, there's a typo here, they join together to fight for a common cause. Grassroots activism can be simple, like handing out flyers about unsafe drinking water. Activists may also take more extreme steps. Some activists have chained themselves to buildings about to be torn down. Other groups have blocked roads to bring attention to their cause. The Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement is one of the most famous and effective examples of grassroots activism in the United States. In the 1950s and 1960s, protesters fought for the rights of African Americans. In the South, black people were segregated, or separated from white people. Black children could not go to school with white children. Black people could not sit at restaurants or on buses with white people. Civil rights activists protested segregation through civil disobedience, which is breaking a law peacefully for a cause. In 1955, a black woman named Rosa Parks was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama, after she refused to give up her bus seat to a white man. Black residents then refused to ride the public buses. The bus company lost $250,000. After 381 days, the city finally gave in and ended segregation on buses. The U.S. Supreme Court said that segregation of public buses and trains was not legal. It was a major step on the journey toward racial equality, and it began with grassroots activism. Teaching a lesson. Sometimes an important law is passed because of grassroots activism. At other times, activism teaches people an important lesson. This was the case of the anti-war movement during the 1960s and 1970s. Whoa! In 1955, the Vietnam War broke out between North and South Vietnam. By 1961, many Americans wanted the United States to send troops there. As the war dragged on, Americans grew tired of it. Many U.S. soldiers were killed or injured, and the war was becoming expensive. An anti-war movement began at colleges across the country. In 1965, the United States began heavily bombing North Vietnam. By 1966, nearly 200,000 U.S. troops had been sent to Vietnam. That number grew to 550,000 within 3 years. Thousands of American soldiers were dying. Innocent Vietnamese people were also being killed. The anti-war movement grew stronger, and large protests took place all over the country. The war finally ended in 1975. The United States and South Vietnam lost. The anti-war movement did not end the war by itself, but it made the U.S. government hear its citizens. The anti-war movement showed the government that it needed its citizens' support to win a war. Occupy Wall Street. On September 17, 2011, a group called Adbusters began a peaceful protest in New York City Park. It said that large companies had too much power. It protested the increasing gap between rich and poor. The crowd grew to thousands. Many of the protesters set up tents. They created a tent city that included a hospital, a kitchen, and a library. They posted signs and banners, gave speeches, and marched in the streets. Newspapers and social media and magazines all ran stories about Occupy Wall Street. On November 14, 2011, the protesters were forced to leave the park. Occupy Wall Street still spread to more than 70 cities in the United States. The movement did not have much effect on politics and government. However, it did start a conversation between political leaders and the public. Grassroots activism today. Today, many grassroots activists are bringing important issues to the attention of lawmakers and the public. Black Lives Matter, for instance, brings attention to the ways African Americans are often treated unfairly by police officers. Another grassroots movement began after the 2016 U.S. election. On January 21, 2017, an estimated 5 million people around the world participated in Women's March events. The purpose was to show the importance of women's rights. Organizers and protesters also supported other issues as well. These included immigration reform, healthcare reform, and racial equality. Millions of people participated in the events. The organizers were criticized, though. Many felt that the Women's March lacked a clear message, and it did not include women of color. That's it. Bye.